NAMM 2026 just wrapped up, and since I am not yet cool enough to go, I figured I'd share the 10 things I'm most excited to hopefully try out this year. Number 1 is the new Remo SMT head. Remo has now added to their SMT or sub-muffle technology line with the new SMT Ebonies plus SMT Tom heads. The SMT line is basically Remo's version of the Evans EMAD line, so it has that piece of muffling ring on top of it. So they have now added an ebony, and they have added a few Tom head sizes. The SMT ebony heads can come in as Emperor or Ambassador, so single or double ply, and they come in at kick drum sized and now floor tom sized. You can get a 16-inch clear for $51.95 or a coated 16-inch for $57.95. The new ebony kick drum heads start at about $65.95 for a standard 22-inch kick drum. Personally, I'm pretty excited to try one of these new floor tom size on my floor tom, so maybe you'll get a video out about that. It's not every year at NAMM that we see something come out that seems truly innovative out of left field, but it seems that Tama has done it this year with their new Spartan Series stands. These stands come in at under 5 pounds each, which should vastly lower the weight of your trap case or your hardware bag. These stands are built out of aluminum, and they have the special anti-walk rubber feet to keep them from moving around. These stands come in at about $125 on Sweetwater for the straight stand and $130 for the boom stand. Personally, I'm excited to maybe pick one of these stands up and maybe do some kind of durability test to see how well they hold up. Up next, we have the Evans Sensory Percussion Cymbals. Building off their super unique take on hybrid drumming, it seems that Evans has done it again with their new Sensory Percussion Cymbal sensors. These are little sensors that go on top of the Evans DB1 low volume cymbals, and they basically are able to turn a low volume cymbal into a fully functional electric cymbal. The only downside I've seen on this, much like the rest of the sensory percussion line, is it is really expensive. A cymbal sensor is $250, so you need to buy one of those each per cymbal, and a hi-hat sensor is $350. Or you could buy the Evans Total Sensory Percussion Kit for around $2,000. Personally, for me, I would much rather use that money on whatever $2,000 Roland E-Kit exists, so then I could have my E-Kit to practice and my acoustic kit for more practice, I guess. Up next is Sonar's new Momentum series kits. These are a line of kits that let you customize which wood you want in each different drum. With these kits, you're able to pick between maple, birch, and beech wood, which is super cool. So if you want a certain type of wood in your kick drum versus your rack tom, you're able to do that. These kits are available in 4 different finishes, which is a red pearl, a pure white, GT black, and California burl. Personally, I've been really geeking out over some of the finishes and looks and sounds of some of these Sonar kits. I may have to pick up one of their snare drums this year to check those out because they just look like some elite class, top of the line drums. So super excited to maybe see some of these hit the stores. Up next, we have the Ludwig eDrum line, which, yeah, you've heard that right. Ludwig has came into the eDrum space, kind of-ish. It seems like that they are buying some sample pads and E-kits that are already available and putting their own samples in them and then putting their own brand name over them, which is kind of iffy, but it's still cool to see them come into the eDrum space. So first off, we have the Ludwig Verse EX kit, which comes at $799, available only at Guitar Center. This kit comes in as a 6-piece, so you get 2 floor toms, 2 rack toms, kick drum, hi-hat pedal, kick pedal, which is nice, snare, and then you get a hi-hat, 2 crashes, and a ride. So this seems like a decent mid-ranged electronic drum kit with some of Ludwig's samples in it, which could be pretty cool. Personally, I'm sure the samples from the Vista Light and the Black Beauty are really sick. And then up next, Ludwig has added to their new eDrum line the Ludwig Total Percussion Pad, which gives you instant access to over 2,000 global sounds, full mallet instruments, and your own custom samples. This pad they actually did buy off of a different brand. I'll put that on the screen, but it is cool to see them at least try to get into the eDrum space. It would be nice if they maybe used their own pad and kind of started from the ground up, but it's still cool to, I guess, see them come into the eDrum space. This pad comes at about $599, which is a lot cheaper than the Roland SPD SX, so If that's something you're interested in, I'm sure it works great and it looks pretty awesome. Up next is something that I'm personally pretty excited about, which is the new DW Collector Series Pure Walnut. From the looks of videos of walkthroughs of their booth, it looks like they have 2 different finishes, but right now Sweetwater only has 1 finish available. It looked like they had 2 different finishes at NAMM, which one of them was like a matte black with a gloss black stripe, which looked incredible. If I could get the snare drum from that kit, that would be insane. But they also have the quick ebony burst with black nickel hardware, which looks incredible. Right now at Sweetwater, you can get the 5-piece without a snare for $7,341, or you could get the 4-piece without a snare for $6,046. Personally, I am very interested in the snare drum, which comes in at $990. I know walnut is something that I definitely want to try out behind the kit. Up next, we have some new cymbals from Meinl Cymbals. I decided to kind of just group all of these in together because they put out some pretty cool stuff this year. First off is the new HCS and Classic Customs Dark Micro hi-hats, which are little 8-inch hi-hats, which look awesome. The Classic Custom Darks are $199, and you can get the HCS Micro Stack mini hats for $79.99. If you're a drummer just now starting out, Meinl's HCS line honestly spoils you guys because there's so much cool stuff. And there's honestly stacks on there that I see pro drummers use. 66 Samus has a HCS stack on his monster kit, which is awesome to see. Some of those cymbals do sound really good, especially for the price. Aside from that, Meinl put out their Pure Alloy Custom Super Bell ride at 21 inches. That is about $430 at Sweetwater. Massive bell. The Pure Alloy Custom line looks super sick. I actually used to have a Pure Alloy Custom 17-inch crash on my left side, and they just look incredible. They sound awesome. Aside from that, we have some extra hammered from the Pure Alloy line and from the Byzance line. So there's a Byzance extra hammered ride for $479. That's a 20-inch ride. There's also some Pure Alloy extra hammered 14-inch hats that come in at $449. And then if you want the Byzance version of those extra hammered hats, that comes in at $559. Lastly, from Meinl, we have, I'm sure all of you have seen it, their new artist design cymbals. We have the Annika Niles one, and then we have the Eric, probably gonna butcher your last name, but the Eric Improda ride, which these don't even look like cymbals. These look like pieces of art. You can get the Eric one on Sweetwater right now for $899. I thought I had saw that these are super limited and hard to get your hands on, but it looks like at least the Eric Improda one you can get at Sweetwater, so that's super sick. Next at number 8 is something I feel like I will never even get my hands on, but the new Mike Portnoy Melody Master snare from Tama looks incredible. I mean, we have a 9-ply 8mm Babinga shell with their die-cast hoops, with their 3-way tension adjustable strainer. I mean, this snare looks incredible. I'm sure it sounds incredible, and I'm sure the price will reflect that. So there's a quick one I wanted to throw in there. Next is something I saw on Arizona Drummers walkthrough. It's the Pearl Regen kit, which looked super cool. These are 3D printed kits. And I know 3D printed drums aren't really that special, but it's cool to see a major brand like Pearl doing something like that as part of their efforts for environmental sustainability. Before we get on to the last one, which honestly is the product I'm most excited to try, maybe demo out in a store, I figured I'd go over a couple of other honorable mentions. I have 3 of them. So the first one is the new Clay Ashelman and Gabe Alguera sticks from Meinl Stick and Brush. I actually used to use the Luke Holland Meinl Stick and Brush sticks. I used them for about 2 years. So I'm curious to try these out. Meinl Stick and Brush is incredible. They make some awesome drumsticks, and it's cool to see Gabe and Clay join the fold there. Besides that, I really like the new Distressed EVH Stripe series, the yellow one now. So we have a yellow distressed one. 12-year-old me would go crazy for one of those. They're super expensive. They look super nice, but super excited to see them do a release for those. And lastly, on my honorable mentions, going back to how I mentioned Clay Ashelman from Polyphia, Tim Henson put out some more versions of his nylon acoustic that look incredible. I'll throw some of the B-roll up, but there's a super limited pro version of them that you can get, and then there's more colors for the original one. Super sick. If I were to buy a guitar for my studio here, I'd probably buy one of those. Lastly, you guys all knew it was coming, the new Yamaha EAD 50 kit, which just looks ridiculous. I mean, the module on here looks like a Roland V71. This thing is a monster. I mean, I don't really think these will have as much of a use case as the normal E8010s because those were somewhat affordable and any drummer could get their hands on them. These coming in at $1,600 on Sweetwater just look next level. So there's a new microphone that clamps onto your bass drum. You can buy 2 of those microphones if you want, so you can have them set up stereo, or you could just clip one onto your bass drum if you want. There's a bunch of different settings and effects, and you can add a bunch of different Yamaha pads on top of it. I mean, if you want the best all-in-one hybrid drum kit, this is probably the way to go. I'm super excited to maybe demo one of these at Sweetwater in person, or maybe if my local Guitar Center has one. But aside from that, I don't think I'll be getting one of these anytime soon. Just that price tag is wild. Alrighty guys, and that was the 10 items I was most excited to see come out here at NAMM this year. Let me know what your guys' favorite items are. Let me know if there's one of these items in particular you would like me to check out, and I'll try to get my hands on it. But until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.